Good evening. Good evening. Hi, everyone. I'm Jamila with Epic Entourage, and you are watching the Jamila Show. And we have an awesome guest today, Miss Anita Lwanga. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Good.
Yes.
Okay. And so you are a doctor, and you definitely have some insight on how people could lose weight, which is a hot topic right now because it's summertime. People want to look their best, feel their best. And so I think this is an awesome time to actually have this conversation. And so I'm just glad that you could join us today to help us out. We need help. A lot of us need help in that area, especially, whatever the circumstances are, having children, us women, we go through it. And so there's always reasons why it's just hard to lose that little extra weight or fupa. I have one. So I'm ready to dig on in, but I wanted you to give us some background information about yourself and where you're from and your expertise. So let us know what you got going on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Miss Jamila. So, as you mentioned, I'm a physician, but in terms of my background, we were just talking about my accent. You were asking where my accent is from. So, I was actually born in Kenya in East Africa, but my parents are from Uganda, which is next door. I grew up in Saskatchewan, which is in Western Canada, and I spent some time in the States as well. I think I lived in Orlando for about 2 years. I lived in Chicago for 4 years. And prior to that, I lived in Cayman Islands for about 2 years. So my accent is a fusion of different accents. No matter where I'm from, everyone is like, "Where are you from?" Even in the town I grew up in, people are like, "You're not from here. Where are you from?" And I kind of make it a game and I try to get people to guess. And usually people can't guess. I've never had anyone say, "Oh, you're Canadian," which is kind of fun. But in terms of my career, my background, after medical school, I specialized in internal medicine and geriatrics. So, internal medicine is the care of adults. We work in the hospital and sometimes in the clinic as well, and we take care of common medical problems such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol. In the hospital, we take care of patients that come in with an asthma attack, their COPD acting up, a stroke, a heart attack, bleeding in the stomach, you name it, we see it. In terms of geriatricians or geriatrics, geriatricians take care of adults that are 65 years of age and older. And as we get a little bit wiser, we tend to have, unfortunately, more medical problems. And sometimes less is more. We actually find, depending on the medical condition that the patient has, and unfortunately, sometimes how many medications they're taking, the less they do, or the less, I mean, we as physicians do in terms of medications and interventions, the better patients do. Sometimes medications are part of what is causing the problem. And unfortunately, sometimes a lot of the procedures and things we're doing are causing more suffering, prolonging life in the process, but not improving the quality of life. So we start to have conversations about what the patient wants in the long term. We let the patient's family members know, and we focus on treating the patient in a way that takes their goals into account, which does not always mean trying to fix everything.
Awesome. Awesome. So this is a passion of yours. But what made you specifically want to focus on weight loss?
That is a great question. Traditionally, as physicians, to be honest, in med school, we don't get a lot of training on nutrition and weight loss unless you specialize in obesity medicine. My background is in kinesiology prior to going to medical school, which is the study of the way the body works. And during that training, I got some training on nutrition. But in terms of my personal story, despite being a physician and telling my patients, you should eat this, you should exercise, I was doing the opposite. And I'm sure you guys see your doctors and you're like, you don't look that healthy to me. Or you see them smoking as you're driving up to the building. And you're like, okay, this one is going to tell me, what to do. And they're not doing the same thing. So for me, I was actually eating all the wrong foods. Part of it was the lifestyle of being a physician. It's fairly busy, fairly stressful. And for me, I was stress eating, especially during the pandemic. I was using food as a crutch to deal with the stress of the pandemic and stress of seeing a lot of people pass away. And I wasn't taking the time to cook properly. So I was, DoorDash. I was DoorDash best customer, Uber Eats best customer, Starbucks. I'm like, I should have bought more stock in Starbucks because I was like eating all the lattes, all the wrong food. And finally, I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I need to make a change because I'm having starting to feel the effects of not being so healthy. So the funny thing is, I started working out more, and the frustrating thing, which I think a lot of people can relate to, the more I worked out, the more weight I gained. I gained muscle, I know, but I gained weight, and I was so
Okay.
frustrated. So I finally got a nutrition coach last year around November, and he made it so shockingly simple. And I was just shocked because he told me things I knew as a physician in theory, but showed me the practical way and very simple things. And I think I lost over about 31 pounds in a period of about 4 months without stressing myself out. So I learned a lot of things, and I wanted to share that information with other people. It's a lot of this stuff is abstract unless somebody actually tells you, just follow these steps, just follow these steps. So if you guys also want more information about my nutrition coach after this, we can talk a little bit more about it.
Awesome. Now, this makes me think about well, first of all, I wanted to say that, I totally get what you're saying about being a doctor and having that stressful lifestyle and how stress can definitely contribute to weight gain because people cope with it in so many different ways. And yeah, food and sugar is so easy to grab. So I definitely get that. And then I know what you mean. It's funny how people who are responsible for taking care of so many people have so little time to take care of themselves. And I did an episode actually about self care. And that was one of the things that we talked about as women. It's just a nurturing nature that we have. And I mean, but you guys, no matter what the gender, male, female, doctors, it's just it's a stressful career to have, definitely for sure. And so, what are some of the challenges and other contributing factors? We know stress is definitely one of them, but what are some of the other top reasons that people have challenges with weight loss?
That is a great question. I think, unfortunately, our Western busy lifestyle sets it up so that it's very difficult to lose weight unless we're intentional about what we're doing. So, for example, all of us are very busy. Depending on the city that you live in, you might end up commuting a couple of hours to work. I know that when I was in training, I used to commute a lot. I didn't have time, too much time to cook, so it would be drive-through or Starbucks drive-through, and a lot of those foods are not very healthy. They might have a decent calorie count on them, but it's beyond calories. It might not be nutrient dense, meaning that it's not very fresh. It doesn't have all the vitamins and minerals that you need in it. Another thing that contributes, which you mentioned, is addictive substances in foods, salt and sugar. Sugar is extremely addictive, and that's something that I struggled getting used to not consuming as I changed my diet, and salt as well. These foods are so addictive. But beyond being addictive to the point that we want to eat more of them than we need because it just tastes good, they also retain water or hold on to water. So salt holds on to water, sugar holds on to water. So a funny story, actually, I think it was like last week, I kind of not necessarily fell off the bandwagon, but I relaxed for 3 or 4 days. And I gained weight. I was like, what happened? I gained about 9 pounds. I changed my diet, and within 3 days, I lost the 9 pounds. I was like, what is this? But it's water. But it's incredible how much that water weight can really affect you in terms of affecting the way your clothes fit, even affecting the way your face looks. You might end up being more puffy than usual, or if you have jewelry, your rings might not fit as well as they should just because you're retaining water. Another thing is, which I already talked about, and I'm going to add to in terms of our sedentary lifestyle, is that a lot of us work jobs where you're seated at a desk most of the day. And unfortunately, when you're seated, you're not standing, you're not walking around, you're not burning as many calories. So no matter, even if you're eating, a decent amount of food that is healthy for you, if you're less active, you're not going to burn those calories. And what happens to those calories? They turn into fat and they're stored on your body. Another factor that also really surprised me is sleep. Just the way our lifestyles are. Some of us, I used to work a shift job. where I worked at night primarily and then I slept during the day, and the quality of sleep is not the same. And a lot of us don't get the recommended amount of sleep, which is 7 to 9 hours per night. And what happens when you're sleeping is that your body kind of resets. It resets an important hormone called cortisol. And this hormone kind of spikes in the morning. It gives you that kind of jolt to get up and get going. But if you don't sleep enough, that hormone remains elevated. And cortisol attracts water. And if you have high cortisol levels, it's harder to control your blood pressure, and you tend to hold on to water around your, or not only water, but fat around your stomach. So, a very interesting story about sleep. I think my brother knows that I lost weight. So he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he took some notes, and he decided all he's going to do is sleep. Everything else, he's like, "I'm good. I'm going to eat my pizza. I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to sleep." So for 1 month, he slept more. He lost 11 pounds just by sleeping. Like, isn't that incredible? It's so,
Wow.
yes, I think he bumped his sleep up from about 4 to 5 hours to 7 hours. And I mean, who wouldn't love that? You sleep and you lose weight. Other hormones that are affected while you're sleeping are these two hormones called leptin and ghrelin. These are the hunger and feeling full or satiety hormone. If you don't sleep enough, the hormones are off balance. So you end up feeling hungrier, even though you don't need to eat, and you're going to eat. And then, of course, you're going to pack on those calories. And when you eat, you're not going to be full, which is really frustrating. So you're going to eat more. So just by sleeping, you're lowering your cortisol levels and resetting your leptin and ghrelin levels.
Okay, I'm all for that.
You don't want to sleep and you lose weight. Isn't that incredible?
I know, I know. But this conversation is somewhat nostalgic for me because I used to work in a health athletic club, and it was in Atlanta, and like they had some of the best trainers and nutritionists, and I would be so frustrated because I didn't. I mean, it was definitely good for me at the time. I didn't realize it because every if I walked by and I had something to eat, somebody was gonna stop me and be like, somebody's gonna stop me and be like, what are you eating? You know, and so um, they are always asking me, "What are you doing? Why are you eating that?" You know, and I'm like, but now, you know, now that I don't work there, I'm like, dang, I wish I had somebody helping me
Yes,
watching what I'm eating.
those are real friends, man. They tell you stuff you don't want to hear. You're annoyed, but I mean, indirectly by peer pressure, they're keeping you in line, huh?
Yes, they definitely were. So I do. I'm not gonna let them hear. I don't want them to hear me say this, but I miss it. But I just don't want none of them in my inbox talk about what's your workout regimen. Let's write you up a program.
Those are real friends. Those are real friends. And they'll do it for free. I mean, those are my kind of friends. They're pushing you forward.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's definitely this conversation definitely brings back those memories where they're like, you can't eat this and you can't eat that. And I'm like, so I'll just go get some grass, and then nobody can say anything.
Oh, yeah, tough love. Oh.
So, what are the tips, or actually, what are some products that you recommend and find more effective?
I love that you're asking this question because don't we all love products? Don't we just want to buy something that's going to change our lives? But I'm actually of the opposite mindset. I think you have everything you need. It's just knowledge that you need and knowing how to apply that knowledge. So in terms of, tips and tricks and tools, if you're going to go buy something, change what you're buying at the grocery store. So I tell people in terms of foods, buy things that fly, that walk, that swim, and that grew that way. I can't take credit for that. I heard it somewhere and I can't remember who said it, but somebody brilliant said it. So, you're walking down the grocery aisle. If you need some meat, buy chicken breasts. They grew that way. Don't buy the chicken nuggets because, humans did something to it. Is it even real meat anymore? And then we put, like some kind of bread on it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It didn't grow that way.
Yeah.
If you're going to pick something starchy, pick sweet potatoes and try to cook them with their skin on. Don't buy the powdered potato, who knows what's in there. They put potato, they put some kind of chemical to preserve it, throw that to the side. So with everything you're choosing, think about that. Does it fly? Does it walk? Does it swim? Does it grow that way? And that's a little bit tough with beverages. Where a lot of people are into like juicing and, it seems healthy, but it can be very tricky because you can drink a lot of calories. So I'd suggest instead of drinking juice or smoothies, drink water, drink coffee. Try to drink your tea or coffee, straight black. It takes some getting used to.
Oh, I
I
was good
know.
with coffee until you said straight black. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if you want to, I know. If you want to cheat a little bit, like I didn't get there straight away. I love like my latte with all the stuff, the bells and whistles. You can do it slowly. So maybe get the black coffee. I started putting lemongrass in with my ground coffee, and then you can get like sugar-free syrup. That's not natural, but or almond milk. That's not
Oh
natural,
yeah.
but it's a step forward rather than all the
Right.
bells and whistles. And this oat milk is high in carbohydrates. If you're going to choose a milk substitute, almond milk or one of the nut milks, if you can tolerate them, is a little bit better.
So coconut milk is good.
It's okay as well. Look at the calories. If it's
Okay.
30 calories for 1 cup, that's okay. But I suspect coconut milk is much higher. But try half a cup instead of the whole cup and making it a coconut milk latte.
Okay.
Black and then like a little bit of milk and walk your way slowly forward. In terms of other products, your phone. I don't know what kind of phone you have, an Android or an iPhone.
I have Android.
Okay, and you have an ability to set alarms for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when it's time to go to bed, figure out what time you're going to go to bed at and set an alarm 1 hour before. So this is going to trigger you to remember, oh, it's bedtime. I need to get out of here. So I actually have like 3 alarms before I go to bed. I have like an hour before it's telling me, you got to do the dishes, clean up. 20 minutes, like 40 minutes before, get in the shower. 20 minutes before, start meditating, like turn off your phone, do all that. So whatever you can do, set an alarm to remind you to go to bed. Turn off any apps, block any apps, because I know a lot of us are into like doom scrolling. You'll be like, oh, I'm just going to check one more thing. 2 hours later, especially at night when your inhibitions are down, that ruins your bedtime. So you can use your phone to help you do that. I think those are all the products you need. If you have a Fitbit, that's excellent. You can also, or even just your phone, you can use it to track your steps. If you can get up to 10,000 steps in per day, great. But I don't think people need to buy expensive equipment. And we'll talk a little bit more about working out as well and whether you need equipment. But I don't think you need to spend that much money to have effective results.
Awesome. That's good. Yeah. So you had to put yourself on a curfew.
Yes, yes. I can be so undisciplined. Like I found myself doom scrolling 3 hours later, buying stuff I didn't need, and I'm like, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, did I lose my mind last night? And it's just because I'm tired.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I never thought about having a schedule to prepare for bed, but I'm pretty sure it could definitely help.
Yeah, and
No.
do things that you love. If you know there's favorite music, like really make it a time to pamper yourself. And then you'll be motivated to, get ready for bed. You'll be like, forget this. I don't need to scroll online. I'm gonna, listen to my favorite song and have like if you like to burn candles, whatever. You just need to really calm down.
One with a company called the Ultimate Gift Boxes, and we have started our self-care series. And we would love to have you on there because this is great information for people who just want to know how to fine tune their schedule and add discipline or incorporate discipline into their regimen and really commit to it. So but if they could take some willpower and wrap it in a box for me, I need it.
All of us. All of us don't rely on willpower. To be honest, I don't rely on willpower. Don't rely on willpower. Set up alarms or set up something that's foolproof.
You're right. But even when an alarm, like in the morning, if I'm asleep, I'm gonna hit that alarm and put snooze.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I get that. But maybe you need to do something in the morning that's gonna motivate you. Like I also have a morning routine that I love. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, have like my prayer walk and all these things, and it just sets the tone for the day. So if you can do something that you love or like have a food. For me, my biggest meal is in the morning breakfast. So by the time I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, have my morning routine, my meditation, I'm gonna have my breakfast, my coffee, my coffee. Yeah, so if you can do bribe yourself. I mean, it's we're like big children. We have to bribe ourselves sometimes, you know?
Yes, definitely true. Definitely true. But that also comes with getting more sleep too. So, if you get more sleep, then it won't be so hard to wake up. So I can see how, all of it correlates and goes together. Okay, it's coming together for me.
Good,
It is coming together.
good.
All right. So you had three tips. Did those things incorporate the three tips, or are there other specific things?
Yeah, those things incorporated the tips, but maybe I'll repeat it in a way that's a little bit simpler and maybe
Okay.
even simplify everything further because I know for me, if I don't have like steps, it can be very overwhelming. If something is overwhelming, I'm like, forget it. It needs to be so simple. So just going over the three tips, I'd recommend maybe write these down and then choose one at a time, and once you master one tip, then add another thing. Don't try do it all at once. It can be very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say number one, start with your diet.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked about choosing foods in a natural form. Work on that. Give yourself time to really change your diet. And when you get to a place when you're comfortable, then you can add the next tip. So we talked about buying things that fly, walk, swim, grow that way. Try to eat more food in the morning. So my nutrition coach used to tell me, eat
Mm-hmm.
breakfast like a queen, lunch like a princess, dinner like a pauper. So eat more volume of your food in the morning and the carbohydrates in the morning, and then as the day goes by, focus more on just having a source of fat, a source of protein, and some fiber, mainly greens. If you can master that and then cut out the salt and the sugar, you'll be amazed how much progress you make. That's one tip. Number two, exercise. So you don't need to buy fancy gym equipment, as I mentioned before. You don't even need to have a gym. You can walk in your neighborhood, or if you have a 2 or 3 story house, you can climb stairs. So my coach told me to back off on all the crazy hit high intensity workouts.
Mm.
The funny thing is, those workouts can actually spike your cortisol level as well and make you more hungry. If you're not careful, you can actually eat more. And the funny thing is that it's so difficult to out eat a bad diet. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
say start with a diet. Like
Mm-hmm.
one cookie could be, especially those like gigantic cookies you get at Starbucks, could be like 400 calories. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
how long you have to walk to burn?
Right. Yeah, I know.
That's like 2 hours. Or like if you're doing like, the elliptical, that's like, depending on your size, it could be like half an hour to 1 hour. That's a lot for that cookie. I don't think that cookie is always worth it. So, work on the eating, and then in terms of the exercise, do something simple that's not going to spike your cortisol levels. So my
Mm-hmm.
trainer told me to do fasted cardio. And the secret with this is that you've burned through most of the food during the day and as you're sleeping. In the morning, your body doesn't have a lot of food. What does it have left? Your fat stores. So if you go for a walk before you eat anything else, your body's going to burn that fat. And just walking, um, you're not going to spike, those hunger hormones. And you'll burn fat, and then you can eat your breakfast. And already you're in a minus, you're in a deficit by the time you start eating. So that was number two. Simple exercise, do it consistently. Try to walk 4 to 6 days per week for about 45 to 60 minutes. And another thing my nutrition coach told me to save time is that if you have a prayer routine or like meditation routine, he's like, pray while you're walking. I'm like, it's brilliant because now I feel, energized and at peace and calm. And, just having this like meditation or prayer routine for me, it's been part of my routine for years. So adding walking to it, it's not taking more time out of my life and it's making it more enjoyable. So that is another tip. And then the last one I would say is next, work on your sleep. So work on setting those alarms. If you need an accountability buddy to call you and say, "Hey, have you turned your phone off? I'm calling you. Turn your phone off right now." Or even somebody who lives in your house, tell them, "Take my phone away from me by force." And if I'm, playing with the phone, I have to pay you like $25. Do whatever it takes. Eventually, you'll be like, "Okay, it's not worth it. I'm grouchy anyways." Which, at least for me, I'm like, I know by the end of the day, I'm grouchy. It's useless. So once you get that, all those things down packed, you'll be amazed how much progress you make.
Yes, I can definitely see how those things would make a difference. And you mentioned adding prayer to walking. That's good. But I can honestly say that my prayer would be, Lord, help get me through this walk. Especially my neighborhood is so hilly. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
a huge hill, and
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I
Hey,
definitely, I definitely need help. I need an extra push. I need divine intervention for sure.
he'll make it happen. He'll make it happen. I cheat a little bit. I take my coffee with me. I'm like, oh, I know I'm gonna fall down the stairs if I don't have coffee. So yeah, I walk and I'm like chugging it back, and halfway through it's like the caffeine kicks in, and I'm like, okay, 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 I can do this. So if you need that extra boost to do that, but you'll find that it's so powerful. Like I think you'll really like it if you try it.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts about Splenda? Because I definitely drink coffee. It's funny, like before I started school, I didn't really drink a lot of coffee,
Ah,
but now it's like I have to have it. It helps me get my day going. It helps me to keep focused, helps me to keep my energy levels up, especially if I hadn't got a lot of sleep, which is often. And and so but I use Splenda like sweeteners. I don't know if I can say the brand name. It's not a problem, but it starts with an S.
ah.
Artificial sweetener. So what is your thought about those?
To be honest, it's not as natural. Like, of course, we humans modify it, but if that's what you need to do for now, that's okay. You can work on it later. At least it's not as high in calories as, say, real sugar. But if that's the crutch you need for now, maybe tell yourself, okay, in the next week, I'm going to work on cutting it down by a quarter or like a half, and then you get used to that, and then slowly you wean yourself off. But even if you don't, as long as you're making other changes slowly, eventually you'll get to a point where you're ready to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, be kind to yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, be kind to yourself.
And I'm glad you said the high intensity workouts. Like not having to do that because I've always like dreaded high intensity workouts. And I know, but some people, they like it. I will say that dancing can be kind of intense, but I would rather like dance, like line dance, like taking a line dancing class or something. And I'm just into the music at that point. But if I have to think about what I'm doing, then if it makes it kind of like grueling a little bit, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I can relate to hating those hit workouts. There's a place for them if you're short on time, maybe 10-15 minutes, no more than 2 days per week, 2 or 3 days, because you're actually, if you're doing them too much, you're breaking down your muscles too much, and it's really hard to recover. So your next workouts will not be as good as they are. So definitely need a break from that. And you don't have to do it. I mean, dancing is perfect because you're not thinking about it. So if that's what's going to get you moving, go for it.
awesome, awesome. So, what are some additional recommendations that you suggest? We know we talked about sleep and exercise and nutrition, of course. Um, but are there any additional recommendations?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question. So, if you find that you're doing everything that you can in your willpower, you're eating fairly well, you're exercising, you're well rested, and it still seems impossible to lose weight, one of the first places I'd recommend starting is going to talk to your doctor. There are some medical conditions that can cause weight gain and make it very hard to lose weight. For example, the thyroid, which sits on your neck, it's like a butterfly shaped organ. It's kind of the manager of your body. It's not the boss. We'd say the boss is your brain, but this is the manager. So if you have a manager who's like really laid back, they don't follow up on anything, the whole company will be like that. So same with your thyroid. If your thyroid is slow, your metabolism will be slow. And that condition is called hypothyroidism. And some of the symptoms we see are, feeling very sleepy, very weak, and weight gain or difficulties losing weight. There are several other conditions, something called Cushing syndrome. I talked about the hormone cortisol, where cortisol is too high. In addition to that, if you already have a medical condition, some of the medications can cause weight gain. So talk to your doctor, ask them to, check your thyroid levels or check different hormone levels, ask them to review your medications and see if it could be causing the weight gain, and they might switch you to a different medication. If that fixes your problem, that is amazing. The last thing I would say is that, you've tried everything, you've talked to your doctor, and you feel like you need a little bit more practical help to apply all these things, you can either talk to your doctor to refer you to an obesity medicine or a weight loss medicine specialist, or you could check out my nutrition coach. I do not have any affiliate sponsorship or affiliate links with him. I just think what he did was so amazing, and he really changed my life with his philosophy. His name is JT Tapias, and he has a program called the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan. You guys can just Google him and see the kind of results he has had. I think you had the picture of my face before, and this is after 30 pounds. So you already have proof within 4 months. And I eat more than I used to eat. So I'll definitely vouch for him. You guys can check him out if you'd like to make that investment.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what are the benefits of weight loss? I know we're in an era where, body positivity is a huge topic, and it's great to feel confident in yourself, um, no matter what size you are. But what are the benefits? Because we do need to be concerned about our health at the end of the day, because it does affect, our other organs when we're, heavier in certain areas. So what are the benefits to weight loss?
Absolutely. I love that question. I have a lot of patients who do not want to take medications. So if you're able to lose about 10 kilograms and you have high blood pressure, maybe you don't need as much medicine, or you might not even need the medicine to manage your blood pressure. And same with diabetes. Sometimes when people lose weight, they can get off their diabetes medications. So all these conditions I'm mentioning, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, stroke, heart attack, something called sleep apnea, where you're not sleeping very much, primarily because you have a lot of excess fat around your neck and the center of your body, so you don't breathe well at night. These are all linked to obesity or excess body weight. And they've actually found about 20% of cancers are linked with being overweight or obese, which is shocking. So if you're able to get yourself to a healthier weight, and not everyone is going to have the same weight, some people have more muscle, but if you're able to lose what you know is excess body weight, which is usually the weight that we carry around our stomach, then you're less likely to have these conditions. And if you already have these conditions, they're going to be easier to manage. And in many cases, you won't need medications. So if you're that kind of person who prefer to treat things naturally, which I suspect a lot of our audience might be in that group, if you lose weight, you might be able to get off your medications. But again, don't stop your medications. Talk to your doctor. And with anything you're doing, talk to your doctor, get their guidance, and make sure they're monitoring you.
I was just about to say, so if that is your goal, is to get off medication, then just make sure it's monitored in a guided program. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so one last question, and I'm gonna let you go. But um, is it a myth or not that 80% of weight loss is attributed to changes in your diet versus exercise? What do you say?
Oh, I love that question. Yes, I think most of it, I don't have the exact stats, but most of it is attributed to diet. Again, my nutrition coach used to always tell me, you can't outrun a bad diet. So if you're eating French fries, those French fries, it's okay to do that once in a while, but if you're
Please
eating them
don't attack
every
French fries.
day, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Once in a while, if it's a special occasion, but every day, like a small pack of fries from McDonald's, I think those were like 300 calories. That's walking for 1 hour. That's exhausting. You could eat like a nice salad, a nice big salad with lots of different veggies and some balsamic vinaigrette, and you could have 300 calories and be really full. So, again, I think it's true. Diet is a big, 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 big part. If you ever watch any of these bodybuilders or even athletes, they don't eat, whatever. They are very careful about what they put in their body. So think of your food as fuel and think of your body as an expensive car. If you had a Porsche, you're not going to put whatever cheap gas in there. If you can afford it, you're going to buy the best gas, you're going to wash it, you're going to take good care of it. Think of your body as like an expensive, even better than expensive vehicle. Put the best quality food you can put in there. And then exercise, you can add that on, but you don't need to exercise like a maniac.
Okay. Okay. I know I said that was my last question. Look, I'm just as interested in this conversation as anybody else would be watching it. But so, like, what do you say to those people who say that, they kind of, don't you feel kind of like penalized for trying to eat healthy in terms of economically? Because it seems as if the foods that are just good for you, that are organic, are so expensive.
I love that question. You're right. Unfortunately, expensive food or healthy food tends to be more expensive. But if you look at Aldi, Aldi is one of, especially in the States. Unfortunately, here in Canada, we don't have Aldi. But Aldi, a lot of their stuff is organic. It's very healthy and it's priced very well. So if you need to watch your budget, go to Aldi and walk around I think skip the first part, but go around the produce section. You can get very well priced produce. I think a lot of it is farmed locally. A lot of it is organic. I remember seeing people who had Trader Joe bags coming in and putting their Aldi stuff in there. Bring if you need to do that, bring your Trader Joe bag. But you can get very well priced groceries. Another way of looking at it is that, okay, yes, you're paying now, but would you rather pay with pills in the future? Like, paying for, I think Ozempic, my patients were telling me, is about $400 per month.
Yeah.
Would you pay for Ozempic, or would you rather put that money towards your groceries?
You're right.
$200 or even half, $200, you can get some very healthy food.
Good trade off. And then our hospital or medical bills.
Your pills. I mean, if you can prevent it, great. Unfortunately, if you already have those conditions, invest as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but invest as best as you can. Lettuce is not that expensive. A nice cut of meat. It doesn't have to be a ton of meat, but you can get a nice cut of meat that doesn't have all the bells and whistles on it. You can get oatmeal. Oatmeal at Aldi, I think, is pretty cheap. The big, big, big tub. I remember this is a couple of years ago, but that must be like $3-4. That's a decent price.
Yes. Yes. Well, I really appreciate this, and I've learned so much. I've gotten a lot out of it, and I'm definitely going to try to implement some of these. I don't know how I feel about my phone being taken away, because I might forget that I told somebody to do that, and I don't want. But anyway.
They can give it back to you in the morning. Those do not need to come and wake you up. Put it on blast and wake you up with your favorite music.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Good. This is good. This is really good. Are you sure you shouldn't have been in law?
Why do you say that?
Because the rebuttals are just so natural.
I think it's medical training, man. It's medical training. Like when you're training, the doctors who are training you are like, man, like, why did you do this? And if you can't answer, they'll be like, get out of here. You don't know what you're doing. So you have to be, even if you made it up, you have to be like that. So I think that's where I got that from. Like just training with people who are a little bit I'll say they were sharp. They were sharp, but no.
You would be the perfect PR client too, okay?
It's a compliment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming and joining us and giving us this great information. Really quickly, where's your practice and where can people contact you?
So I'm actually located in the Saskatchewan Health Region, which is in Western Canada. So I can be seen on referral basis only, meaning that if you have a family doctor, they can refer you to see me to manage an internal medicine related problem. Other than that, if you want to follow me on social media, my name is Anita Lwanga. The last name is Lwanga on LinkedIn. On Instagram, it's at Lwanga MD. That's all lowercase. On Twitter, it's at Lwanga. The L is capitalized MD. MD is capitalized there. On TikTok, though I haven't been on TikTok for a while, it's Dr. Lwanga, all lowercase. And on YouTube, you can also find me as Dr. Lwanga. So I like to drop some health tips. If you guys want to follow me there and see what I'm up to, you can follow me on any of my social media platforms.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That is great. That's great. I actually know some people in Canada.
Oh, really? Where?
Oh gosh, where are they? I don't think it's Ontario. I can't remember exactly. I've never been, but actually, someone that I contracted, a company that I contracted was based in Canada, and we would be in contact with them quite frequently. So I would just always ask about Canadian water.
Well, you are welcome to come anytime. Now you know me. So, I mean, to be honest, out west, it's not that exciting unless you're going to the mountains, but you're always welcome to come and find me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Everyone, please contact Miss Anita if you have any questions, concerns, or if you're on a weight loss journey and you just need an extra push. And stay tuned because we may have her back on our other platforms. Thank you again, Anita.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the very insightful and wise questions. These are questions that everyone, the audience, is going to ask. So I really appreciate your well thought out questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye bye.